Hello everyone and welcome to Sci Tech Pararnormal Investigations. My name is Don Merchant and I am one of the founding members of Sci Tech Pararnormal Investigations. This is the first in a series of learning video presentations to be posted. Because of YouTube limiting the length of videos, I was forced to make two parts. I could not justify eliminating important information about the Frank's box by squeezing it all in one short video. This part 1, will cover some history of spirit communication leading up to the Frank's box, including how the original Frank's box functions. In part 2, I show a video explaining my version of the Frank's box. I have also included several remarkable EVPs that were caught during my experimental sessions. So in keeping to my word, let's continue on and get a better general understanding of this new, exciting, and yet controversial paranormal subject matter and its relationship to ITC and EVP. References of ghosts go back as far as the dawn of man. Virtually every culture, past and present, has had their own burial rituals and beliefs for the deceased, which includes their views and depictions of the afterlife that awaits them upon death. Communicating with those that have died is nothing new. Some cultures have used prayer as a form of communication. Other forms of communication, such as oracles, channeling, mediums, and seances, to name a few, have been used throughout history. Tools used to help communicate with the dead are nothing new as well, and some of the tools include the use of crystal balls, Ouija boards, and scrying. With the advancements of technology over the last 100 years, we have seen the use of electronic devices that try and help communicate with the other side. These would include such devices as tape and digital recorders, EMF detectors, thermal imaging, and video recorders. Instruments such as Spiricom and ITC have also been used with results that have intrigued the ghost hunter. Most recently, a new device known as the Frank's box has caught the world of haunted paranormal by storm, and it is here I would like to share with all of you a better understanding of this device. I would first like to please ask all of you, from believers to skeptics, to have an open mind on this subject. This is an important necessity in order to comprehend the theories involved. To help all of you in having an open mind, please think about the fact that almost 2,000 years ago, it was believed the Earth was at the center of the solar system. In the Middle Ages, it was believed the Earth was flat, and who would ever thought that man would one day walk on the moon? Sci Tech Pararnormal Investigations did not use this method of communication during their investigations. We would have no problem using this option of communication if requested by our clients, as long as our clients understand that this form of spiritual contact is still in its infancy and still very controversial. Specializing heavily in EVP for a good many years, I decided to study and experiment the Frank's box on my free time. In fact, I created a modified version of the Frank's box with some added elements in which I feel it actually works better than many of the Frank's boxes made today. Since my study of the Frank's box, I can now openly admit that my skepticism has diminished to a point where I feel the validity of the Frank's box is nothing short of amazing and definitely worthy of more study. I will try in this video to help those hardcore skeptics in at least raising their eyebrows, or at the least raising more questions on this newly developed form of spiritual communication, while at the same time help educate those who want to understand more about the Frank's box. The Frank's box, which is also known as a ghost box and many times referred to as the telephone to the dead, was created by Frank Sumption in 2002. Frank Sumption is a ham radio operator and an electronic technician, and this knowledge helped him in his design and creation of the Frank's box. There are approximately 39 handmade Frank's boxes made by Frank Sumption known to exist. It is believed that the original creation of the first Frank's box by Frank Sumption was never for the purpose or intended use for communication with ghosts or spirits. It was thought instead designed as a sort of desktop radio, very much like a ham rig, in which people could listen for possible extraterrestrial communications. As it turned out, this very first Frank's box was not quite what Frank Sumption expected. Like most inventions, its eventual use came somewhat upon accident. As word spread of this device, Frank Sumption created newer, supposedly better versions of the Frank's box as per instructions by the beings or voices that were communicating with him through his first box. So how does the Frank's box work? It works very similar to the way ghost hunters do standard EVP while using white noise or some form of raw audio. Remember that ghosts or spirits do not have a voice box like you and I do as they once did in the physical world when they were alive. It is theorized that for ghosts or spirits to communicate verbally, some form of energy is needed so as to help these discarnate beings modulate or remodulate the energy into words. Thus, the added uses of white noise, pink noise, and even brown noise in conjunction with our own voice energy when doing EVP work helps provide this energy for better communication. Again, this is all theory. This is basically what the Frank's box does, except that the major difference with the Frank's box over standard EVP is that the design of the Frank's box allows for live or real-time communication. If you recall, when doing standard EVP with a digital or analog recorder, we usually rewind or reverse back our recorders and put our headphones on and listen. This is called playback. This is where and how we find our EVPs. The Frank's box allows a person to hear these discarnate voices without doing playback, and that really is the only major difference with using a Frank's box compared to standard EVP. The Frank's box only automates the process. The Frank's box is a receiver that is fitted with a white noise generator that is fed into a random voltage circuit designed by Frank Sumption. This random voltage is tied into an AM radio receiver which responds to the voltage by tuning to a specific spot on the radio dial. This is called voltage tuning. Many of the radio receivers during the 1980s and 1990s used this common type function, particularly car radios. The received radio station signals, which are continuously tuned in for a split second, including any radio static, are then channeled into a small sound or echo chamber in the back of the box, which by theory allows the ghosts or spirits to interact and modulate or remodulate this audio. A microphone placed in this chamber is then amplified and sent out to a speaker on the front of the box so you can hear live audio. That's it, a very simple technique using raw audio, as ghost hunters do using white noise to help ghosts or spirits communicate. Newer versions of the Frank's box use what is called the sweep method, where the box simply sweeps back and forth through the AM band. Frank Sumption believed that the random voltage design is what allowed his early ghost boxes to work, but after his new design of the sweep method, Frank Sumption now believes the sweep method works much better than those boxes with the random voltage circuit. One of the major arguments among skeptics is the fact that the Frank's box design uses bits and pieces or snippets of audio produced by AM or FM radio stations as raw audio during the sweeping of these frequencies. Skeptics believe that various words from passing stations that are heard are just that and not from spirits or ghosts. This would be called audio matrixing, or more technically called pareidolia. I can understand and respect this argument among skeptics, debunking this as audio matrixing. So having an open mind, I decided to investigate this further. Not being able to acquire an original made Frank's box, I decided to create a similar device of the Frank's box, which works very much alike, if not better, with the same concepts. Through my experiments, I was able to test this new form of live spirit communication with interesting controlled results, which in turn helped me warrant the validity enough for me to continue my study. Let's continue on to part 2, where I show a short video explaining my version of the Frank's box, including several EVPs that were heard or found during my sessions.